where we need to, that's going to be a Navy kind of driven thing. And for the last 10 or 15 years, we may not have emphasized that because we had other priorities in Iraq, Afghanistan, and other places like that. So it's kind of recharge time. The trick for us is not to just go about it the way we would have done it 20 or 30 years ago, and just build what we would have built in the same way we would have built it. And then also leverage the fact that the Marine Corps is going to be doing different things, the Navy is going to be doing different things. And so the challenge for us, right, is a pretty dynamic world out there. A lot of folks doing a lot of different things. And we've got to have a system that will do really big, complex things really well. Right? So two of the most complex digital models in the world are the digital design for an aircraft carrier and a nuclear submarine. Those are pretty complex things, take a long time, mega project, 40 million man-hour projects. Yet, be relevant to the O2 out there in the field, we needs a piece of software yesterday, and not build that piece of software like we build a nuclear aircraft carrier. So getting an organization in an ecosystem that can do both of those really well is really hard. Right? It's really, really tricky. As an enterprise last year, I did about $106 billion of contracts. Right? 248,000 contracts. Right? About 17 billion. Emily's here, a small business director for the Navy. You met her. Get a hold of Emily. We did about 17 billion. 17%, about 15 billion. 15 billion, big B, direct to small business. Right? So a lot of folks will say, a lot of small business is hard to do business with the Navy, all you do is build big things. Yes, we build a lot of big things. But we do a lot of small work too. About 40% of the work got completed. So that's kind of give you a sense of the ecosystem. What matters to me? Four things kind of really matter to me. The first one is delivery. Right? If we are not outputting things to the war fight, right, whether that be new stuff on old stuff, or figuring out better ways to sustain the stuff we have, I'm not terribly interested. And I'm an output, 12 years at a commander or teach me pretty outcome focused. So it's not about the process, it's not about having the coolest process or compliance, it's are we outputting lethal capacity for the fight? Now, you're a techie company, that doesn't just mean new technology for new problems. We can talk AI and stuff like that. I spend a lot of money maintaining old stuff, like $10 billion a year just on surface ship maintenance. So if you have technology that can help you do that better, 10% better, that's $1 billion a year, right? So kind of as we talk about it, it's not just applying new technology to new things. You got a lot of existing problems. But if it doesn't help me get to an output, I'm not terribly interested, right? Our processes are all great. I love them to death, but they've got to get an output. Second piece is how do we get our pivot speed up, right? And one thing, again, one of the great lessons I got at Special Ops is it's about pivot speed. Right? And if you think about the world ahead, right, some call it the age of surprise. Right? If we cannot pivot to a new problem, a new threat, something else quickly, we are not going to be relevant, right? Again, very easy to say, very tough to do in an organization that's got to build like $10 billion aircraft carriers and new software. I interact at 250,000 contracts a year. That's our challenge, though, and then quite frankly, the opportunity where I see a lot of great opportunities. Third piece is, again, we talked a little bit about cost. How do we make the most for every dollar we have? I'm an abundance guy. I'm not one of those scarcity people. If you haven't kind of read up on that, I would challenge you, because we all kind of get into this scarcity mindset, don't have enough. So people come to me and tell me what they can do with money they don't have. I'm not terribly interested until they tell me, here's the way I'm maximizing everything I can. This deaf audience is a great example of abundance. So we could all talk about how you don't have a contract, or you don't have this money, you don't have. I look around this room here, just with the folks I know, and I probably only know 5 to 10% of this room, I can probably solve almost any problem we have. So the real trick isn't necessarily that we need more of stuff. We need to make more of the stuff we have, right? Whether that's being smarter in the way we do contracts, whether that's getting the right mix of organic coding at the unit level. There's a whole bunch of ways to do that. But we got to think about how do we maximize what we have. Because at some point, the printing machine will stop, right? So folks say, well, there's not that much. DOD's got $700 billion plus a year. That's a lot of resources. We have 1 million or 2 folks dressed in uniform and civilian. We have the best industrial base in the world, right? We've got a lot of great entrepreneurial talent. So the issue isn't that we don't have all that stuff. The issue may be that we don't have it applied right, or don't have a line to maximize what we can get out of that. That's part of what I'm trying to do. And then the last piece is talent. My biggest fear for the DoD and the Navy and Marine Corps is talent. And not just in the uniform side, because that we spend a lot of time on and we do fairly well with. It's the overall talent in our ecosystem. So if we don't create the culture that trusts folks, empowers them, allows for new ideas to come in, right? Promotes based on best value to tackle a problem, whether that's in a contract or a person. We're not going to be relevant because everybody's going to go to the places that do value all that, right? And so the trick for me at my level is not to make great acquisition decisions uniquely. It's to create the right culture, right? That's what I should be doing. Create the right business environment, right? Work those scenes that allow you guys to do awesome stuff. Because I have found the way to really get organizational speed is focus on agility. Right? If we get cycle time up, cycle costs down, right? If I'm 5 times as fast as you, I can miss a couple times and still beat you to the target. And that's the piece that's really tricky in public service. Because nobody wants to say, well, I put my tax dollars against something that didn't work. Right? Whereas in the private world, you can kind of have that. So entrepreneurship in public service is really tricky. But to me, we still got the best Navy and Marine Corps in the world, still got the best country in the world, and we're still not doing everything as well as we could. So all that is just wasted calories that we can apply to the problem we have. If we don't, we're not going to be terribly relevant in the future. And I don't like losing. Right? So my trick, what's interesting, why I want to get together with you guys is to have a discussion about how do we get that iteration speed up, iteration cost down, and leverage the resources we have across the whole board better than we're doing right now. In a very challenging world, right? And so we've got to also be sophisticated enough that one answer will not solve all the problems, because I got lots of problems. So we need to create a community with lots of different ways to solve lots of different problems quickly. That's where I think we need to head. So that's kind of a sense of where I'm going. But I'd like to do now open a discussion. I find that to be a little bit more fun than listening to myself talk. And so fire away. And if you can tell me where you're coming from, just go ahead.
Yes, sir. My name is Elizabeth Gillis. I'm with the U.S. Coast Guard, and I'm currently working with the Department of Treasury and Civilians. And so my question for you is, how is the DoD, through acquisitions, addressing supply chain vulnerabilities with China infiltrating logistics and companies around the world that are important to the DoD?
Great, thanks for the question. So does everybody know what CFIUS is? Does everybody kind of know what that is? Kind of taking a look at companies where they're coming from. A huge problem, probably one that we either misdiagnosed or just failed to diagnose at all for a long time. So Navy's been really active in that role. Part of my fear is, I have a couple different things I worry about. One of the things I worry about is I think we all think, I'm going to go on a little bit of a tangent, I'm going to come back to this. One of my fear is we don't have the enterprise set up. We all think if we got a shooting war, we could outproduce everybody, because that's what we did in World War II. That's kind of not where we're at right now. We don't think that way. We leaned everything out. And through lots of different ways, we haven't spent enough time even understanding where our supply vulnerabilities are, which I think is the first key step to then getting after, where you're multiple, then where to go. Coming from a command at war, one of the first things that I kicked off when I got to the Navy is what I'll call my December 8th. So I don't want to worry, I don't want to think about how we ramp up production at a very high rate when I have to do it. That should not be the first time I think about it. And so we've actually had a team looking pretty strategically at how would we go about that? What are the things we need to do to get at that? A key element of that supply chain, right? Understanding, and then we got to get to taking it on. The second piece we have to do is make it easier to bring new suppliers into the system. So I think sometimes we spend a little too much time focusing on the current suppliers we have and maybe make an investment. If I can make it easier for new suppliers to enter the system, right, that gives me some resilience. So the piece I'm really focusing on is really is what's our resilience. Now, if we let our enemies in our supply chain, right, and that's not going to help you with neither agility nor resilience. And so that's kind of where I'm looking at opportunity space. Again, now, if it costs me 10 years and $1 bazillion to bring on a new supplier, that's not going to help you. So where are our open standards? The Navy is doing a lot more of the Navy being the integrator as opposed to just getting things to an OEM. Right? If we have organic ability, whether it's at the unit level or warfare center to write our own code, that gives us more resilience. So my overall goal is to create more suppliers, right, as opposed to trying to have a very small number that you have to super protect. We absolutely have to protect some of our suppliers, but we also need to bring in more players.
Right, guys, so just as a reminder, we are live streaming, so just make sure that everyone that's watching can hear the question audience. So, yeah.
Hi, Adam from TGB. Pardon me, I'm going to do the full dying thing. How many people here are currently DoD contractors? How many people here want to be DoD contractors? The question is that what you said about wanting to improve your supply chain and bring in new vendors. Back a while ago when I had hair, back a while ago.
That was not me laughing, on the record.
The DoD had a thing called the potential contractor program. You explain why you had interesting technology with somebody who they floated around and said, yeah, that sounds interesting. And you get interesting things like that. You get clearances. You be able to attend industry day. Now, that went away. Previous administrations, long lost to dawn of time, or at least fine, call it years, eliminated that program. But I can't go to the industry days at most agencies that I wanted because it's all classified. It's all DoD only. So I can't hold access to detail ERS without a current contract. Back when we were under the PCP, we held up. We were able to do our bids. You could make that happen.
Sure.
We were turned off by an executive order from the Secretary of Defense. Also a secretary.
Okay, I'm happy to look at that and say a specific issue, but I think that's one area where I'll put in the discovery bid. One of my observations is we're spending a lot of time on discovery. I created a thing called SoftWorks, or the pick your works of the day. What we've got to make sure is we don't just focus on discovery and we actually do something and get it in the field. And so one is absolutely we ought to have a wide open front end that allows traditional and non-traditional people to understand problems, propose solutions, and work our way in. What I found at SOCOM was I thought we were pretty good at SOCOM, Special Operations Command, at at knowing what's going on in the world and, you know, being in with, you know, we were all gadget freaks and all that kind of stuff. It amazed me what happened when I had an open front end and said, if you have a great idea for SoCal, walk to the store, no clearance required, no pre-meeting required. And so things walked through the door that I didn't know I had a requirement for until I saw it. Right? So we absolutely need to do that. Chris Wood in the back is helping me recreate that front end for the Department of the Navy. So there is a menu where if you have an idea, you can walk in the door. What I did learn at SOCOM, that's a necessary but not sufficient step. The piece we are not very good at and need to get really good at is taking it from there through an accelerator like this or any other accelerator kind of model and actually getting it to the field. Because stuff gets kind of got in the gadgetry shops and never makes it to the E3 out in the field that needs something. And so we've also got to figure out how do we, as rapidly as we discover stuff, make it available to get it out in the field there's a couple different mechanisms. So when I think through this, you'll hear me call it the Navy Agility Campaign. I'm not a big guy for innovation because too many times we get caught in we're being innovative, but never delivering. And so I kind of like agility better because I can measure pivot speed, I can measure how fast we can turn on things. I can't measure innovation quite as easy. But part of that agility campaign is then how do we deliver? Emily and I and some others are looking at our small business innovative research program. So how do I make it look like more of an accelerator program? If you have an idea, you have this Coke can, you said you can turn into a water bottle, I'll very quickly give you money to go do that very quickly, as opposed to a pure shiver kind of which is turned into a process that takes a long time, that delivers things in phases. That's not going to be at the speed of relevance. So I take your point quick. I'm happy to look at that. I think we can fold that into our kind of agility, look at things from a front end. But I am also interested in ideas on how we then get it actually on a ship or in Marine's hands or somewhere in the field as quickly so we don't have stuff just kind of caught in lab or innovation hub-a-thon that we kind of have a propensity to do right now in many elements of the DoD. Yes, ma'am.
I have two questions from the live stream. One is.
I can only remember one thing at a time.
Okay. Does the Navy have any plans to increase the amount of agreement officers that have the ability to execute other transactions?
So, great question. A little bit of our classic culture. So, if you read, and the DoD's always had this permission, they just haven't given it to itself. You can have non-warranted contracting officers award agreements under OTA kind of authority. Had it for a long time. There's pros and cons to that. The pro would say, hey, you could expand the number of folks that could award contracts and get your iteration speed up. The con would say, boy, it's really hard to award a FAR-based contract where all the rules are known. And now you're going to have somebody who's not awarded a contract have a wide open blank sheet of paper. And as you might expect, there's rules, there's pros and cons. What I would say is I'm open to looking at all ends of that spectrum. Whether you have a warrant or not is not as interesting to me as do you have the skills or not. But we've got to understand and make sure we go through it. Because a challenge with OT, with these other transactions, if you don't really understand where you want to go, and you don't have the right training, you won't put the right agreements to protect both sides on the intellectual property piece. And I think, our biggest challenge, this is us, right? Because if you're a DoD contractor, to some degree, you're just a different version of me on the other side of the table, and over time, you will look like us, right? Is we as a community have to get good at doing things lots of different ways. And you built your companies around doing FAR-based proposals because we always ask you for FAR-based proposals. And I used to write proposals, so I know exactly what that's like, the compliance features and all that. So the trick is, how do we both generate capability to do these non-FAR contracts, whether it's a contract officer or a grievance officer, and both understand how to do that well. And that's an opportunity space for me. But in my mind, if you have the skills and the right training, then when you call a grievance officer or a contract officer, you should be able to leverage that talent.
So second one, and then we'll go back to the audience. Can you ask what his thoughts are on the Air Force's Kessel Run program, and if he thinks building a similar software development unit for the Navy would be worthwhile?
So it's great if you have, I actually posted, I'm not going to plug LinkedIn, but I posted something. What's interesting to me as a joint guy is, does everybody know the Department of the Navy organically writes all the software for the special ops, gunships, and ISR planes, and have done so for about 10 years? So it's a little bit interesting that there's this sense the Navy doesn't know how to do any organic software development. From my experience is they've been doing it for a long time. There's an interesting article of a young officer that did an intern that just posted on the PAs and how that unit is doing some stuff organically. So a challenge in the Navy is I think we're doing a lot of interesting things. We're not always as good about talking about and strategically getting the word out. So I think the Kessel Run, if you're not familiar with that, that's kind of a stand up a group where you can bring operators, put them with coders on kind of a unified platform, for lack of a better term. And they're really looking at the Aero Operations Center and how you get it capable. Love it. Anytime you can close distance between operator, acquirer, and technologist, good things will happen. I think the only thing that I think we're really looking at is, should that occur at a third-party place, or should I put that capability at a unit level? Because right now, the unit folks have the parts to go to that, as opposed to should we put that capability at the unit level? Kind of like we're doing with additive manufacturing, especially in the Marine Corps, where rather than having all the parts have to go to the central AM house, hey, why don't I give the capability organically to the unit, give them right, left, lemons, and go. So that would be I think that's what runs great, necessary but not sufficient. How do we do that, do more of that? Good, I'm not the mic control.
Scott Myers, that is Southern Beauty. For a small business, an entrepreneur, an innovator, I think it would be a good idea for us to get in the field, on the ship, talk to the people who are using the products. It's one thing to be on the outside in the Washington area. It's totally different if you feel talking.
Do things happen outside Washington?
So all I'm saying is, if there is an opportunity to have people meeting in this room, to get on ships, spend some time with people, and find out what the needs are that have not been solved up. You're looking at the agility and quickness and speed. Having the integrators there, having the developers there, having the people who can actually fabricate things and look at the problem. Okay, your desk has this trackball, has this screen. It doesn't work quite right because it's hitting my knees or whatever. People in theater all the time defining their requirements in the Six Sigma methodology would be very beneficial.
Yeah, I agree. I think the trick is how to do that at scale, right? And how to make that a sustainable enterprise. So what I would say is the Navy has resources that does not apply as well as it should. We have a lot of dollar resources. You can argue are we applying those as well as we should, or there are better ways. We have other resources we don't apply. We have bazillions of terabytes of data, but we don't trade our data for something, right? We have lots of really hard problems, right? My experience in the commercial world is if you can find hard problems, they're very interesting. You can solve them, you can make lots of money, right? So we've got to figure out how to better mobilize the data we have, right, and the problems we have to then generate potential solutions, and then have a way to, again, this iteration speed. If I expose you to a problem and then it takes me 2 years to decide to write you a contract for it, that's probably not the sustainable method we're looking for. And so we've got to get it kind of end to end. But your point's well taken. So we gotta figure out how to do that in a more sustainable way. Right?
Hi, Chris Forrest, Air Force Chinley. So I have a question in terms of whether the Navy's view or your own personal experience in terms of how you want to do this with architecture problems. In other words, in the Air Force, increasingly we talk about how we need to have things that are connected to each other, both and increasingly future operations and force on. The challenges we usually encounter are proprietary either hardware, software, proprietary code, as you work with the primes and subs. As you talk with DARPA, you have much of the same problems as far as we'd like to integrate these platforms differently, but the challenges with working with this proprietary code is, so how is your experience maybe deal with that?
Yeah, great question. I'll come at it maybe a couple different directions. One approach, so when I think, well, let's just take nuclear submarines. But you can say the same thing maybe with an airplane, because that's kind of what it is for ops. I think about it in a nuclear submarine, things that are wet differently than things that are dry, right? And so when I'm going to go build a nuclear submarine, we're going to build one, right? That thing's got to last like 30 to 50 years. It's got a nuclear power plant on it. So I'm probably going to spend a lot of time thinking about how to design that. It's sensitive. I probably don't want to have open source documents on how to build a nuclear submarine. What's dry on the inside ought to be changing right at the speed of relevance. And so what I'd say for the Navy is, I think taking a good approach relative to what I've seen other places is we separate the combat system from the platform, right? So which I think is the first step, right? Because if each platform comes with its own unique combat system, then you got all these standards running around and you got to test all. It's much easier to say, hey, every ship gets this combat system. It looks like this. It's got these common components. That's one piece. The other piece you've got to do, and what we've done on submarine force is create a system where you have both the open standards, which you need, but then you have the methodology. So on the submarine, we essentially change all the hardware in the submarine about every 3 years. We change all the software in about every 18-month cycle. But everybody knows that cycle, right? And then the prime integrator is charged not with just everything goes to them. Their job is to integrate all the pieces that we're getting from wherever they come. So if somebody creates a new sonar detection algorithm, that just goes into the build. Quite frankly, the challenge we had, I had the same problem with SOCOM, challenge you can go too fast. So we were changing like every year, and operationally that was a train wreck, because you could never train the crews, and then your squadron didn't have any submarine that looked the same, right? And so what we kind of come to is a 3-year hardware cycle, 18-month software cycle on submarines, and we just do that. It just keeps rolling. The second piece we're doing a lot of work with is digital twins. Right? So if I can create and we've done it on the Aegis combat system, so for all our destroyers, we have a whole digital twin. We're actually talking now about fielding that with the actual combat system. So imagine if you had your certified tested combat system, and then you have a replicant on there with some new code that you could be testing and trying and doing con-ops and tactics and all those things at the same time. Right? Really interesting. The third piece we're challenging ourselves with, again, speed of relevance. Going from compiling code to fiber check, system integrated check, over the airways, uploaded on a combat system in 24 hours. Because to be relevant in the Navy, we can't just be relevant when I get a ship back every 6 years. Right? And so that's some of the approaches. But I like hardware commonality and some kind of combat system commonality rather than trying to have one standard I propagate, because it's just too tough from my experience. The other piece is for our unmanned systems we're putting on the carriers, the Navy owns and is designing the data link and all the control software. So we're doing that organically because that way we can control that interface and hand that to anybody, not contract out for that and then have to deal with all the proprietary stuff. So the challenge on our side of the equation with industry's help is where's the right balance? Good. What else?
I'm Melanie, and I have to confess first that we have no over here, so I'm not from a tech company, and I'm not in the department. Center, and I'm going around and listening and learn about the blockage going on with the nexus of technology and that history. And so I want to pull on a couple of threads here and then consult.
That's okay, you can come up here, I'll sit down. I'm good with that.
Well, so one of the things I hear consistently has to do with the department saying we've got lots of problems to solve, we're really interested in entrepreneurial solutions. I need new tech, need it, we right? And I hear the tech company saying, we've got great technology, I'm sure that I can apply it to some of the problems we have, I just can't see the problems, right? Which is what the here. So the agility question seems to be starting from the very beginning, problem identification. It's also the case that sort of learning about requirement specifications is better done by a technologist to go out and work onto the platform and field, because having someone else describe problems that they understand is not the same as sort of coming from the other people. So this is where I want to take this question. I'm curious, the Army has its own sort of solution to the agility acquisition question, and I'm wondering, I'm really curious if your thoughts about that approach to sort of aligning all of these sort of parts of the acquisition process, of problem identification, working closely with technologies, and then through sort of OTAs and aligning the actual needs to company solutions with price and start coming on to work.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great diagnosis of our collective challenge, right? We have a bunch of over-regulated, over-legislated rule sets that we all have to deal with, right? Everybody wants to be the entrepreneur unless you're entrepreneur out of something, right? And so here's what I think. Anything we can do to close that distance is beneficial, right? The Army's trying to Futures Command, which may be the right solution for them, probably too early to tell. My worry is if you then separate your distance between end user and technologist, but have no way to buy it, you're just going to be more frustrated than you are right now. So I think the trick for us, right, I go back to iteration speed. So how do I crunch down cycle time and increase my rep rates? Whether that's, hey, I'm going to do an accelerator thing and I want to do prototypes. The challenge with, hey, just come sit with us and give me your problems is, there are certainly problems we can describe that you could answer if you sat with us, but you have answers to problems I didn't know I had until I saw the solution. And so I worry sometimes if it's just your problems, right? The real trick is where we create intersections, because just like anything innovative, most of it's not a bolt out of the blue. It's a collection of different ideas kind of postured together towards one mission. The DoD needs to do a better job maybe of, here are our missions, give us some ideas, and then kind of get that flashback. I just worry, I've seen, we all have struggled with the labs that represent a need. Some technologists get in there, they do something that's really tricky, but it's not connected to anything. And so where I'm really trying to go is maybe 2 or 3 directions. How do we open up the bandwidth to understand what's out there and get an understanding of what we need? Right, your kind of first step. That's kind of discovery to me. But we've got to get to deploy. And where we have failed, like I said, over the last 5 to 10 years is gotten too focused on discovery and not fix the things to actually get it deployed into the field. Right? And that's where you've got to have those matched up. So what am I doing? I'm challenging decentralizing execution of programs. Right? So program managers have more authority to unilaterally make those smart decisions about, hey, that's ready, let's go. And put what I'll call catcher's mitts into those programs. So I don't know what the next sensor is I need for my unmanned system on a carrier. I just know I want the best one that's out there. And so rather than trying to predispose over a long life cycle exactly what that's going to be, where I want to get to is much more agile acquisition that allows me to pick the best thing at the time, whether it's somebody built it in the garage, or something that we built in the lab, or something that we got from an overseas partner. We struggle on that part. We get really good on the tech discovery. We all get together and we have great meetings and whiteboard stuff, and maybe even prototype something, and then it just languishes, which is a bad business model, right? Because you don't get any cash flow back, and it's bad for me because if you're the operator in the field, you hear a bunch of this chatter, but nothing ever improves on your deck plate level, and that doesn't look like success for you. So I think we've got to work it all the way through the system, right? The other challenge we have to do is we have to get a little bit away from standardization, meaning everybody has the exact same thing, especially when you have large formations. Because even if you could pick the right thing, if it took you 20 years to get it to everybody in the formation, by the time you get there, it's irrelevant, right? So we've got to get a little bit more comfortable through open standards that we could leverage diversity of things as we go. AI guys, who's any AI people out here? Machine learning, virtual, all that kind of stuff, right? A huge challenge for the DoD is our training timeline, right? It takes you, pick your Air Force thing, right? 2 or 3 years to be a proficient pilot in whatever, same on. So we're now, if we're not careful, we become strangled by how long it takes us to train something, right? So there's 1,000 techniques I would love to apply to take what we're doing today and make it easier to operate. Right? And we don't think of AI, we think of AI as just something super nebulous, somebody behind the screen here win a war. The Marine Corps does some really impressive things about, hey, 3D printing is just another way to do local manufacturing. We've done local manufacturing throughout the Marine Corps. Here's a new tool, let's apply it in a new way. We've got to leverage some of this AI and ML to make it easy and accessible. Right? And that's where I think we can work better together on making technology easier and accessible in bite-sized chunks, not these kind of big bang theories. And I think that will help then get speed at the organizational level. All right, what else?
Okay, I think we've got time for one more question. Good question, but let's make it a good one. Okay, all right.
I didn't ask myself a question.
Alabama, Clemson.
Good evening, my name is Mike Gasson from Marine Corps University. As Marine Corps University students, or hands up, so dragging up in Quantico. My impression of my students is that they are operators in the student status. The closest to the problem, how do you see the education institutions within the Department of the Navy supporting, leveraging, moving your agility campaign forward?
Yeah, that's a great question. So in fact, we were talking something earlier. What I would tell everybody out there is don't wait for the great answer. One, because it's probably not coming, and two, you're the best one to create the answers to your own problems, right? Where we can all improve through events like this, right? This class, so we have a lot of folks that want to relearn what's already known. So I told somebody earlier, I'm not very smart, I'm just a hell of a poser, right? I will steal from anybody, and so I think the biggest thing we can do, right, is create the trust level, right? Whether that's between industry and government, industry, government to government, create the trust level up. That so I'm a big fan of kind of the speed of trust, the crystal team of team stuff. I lived that in SOCOM. Why did SOCOM go fast? It wasn't because we had any special waivers. We had all the same rules that we have in the Navy. No special. It was trust, it was speed of decision making, right? And it was empowerment. Right? So I would say invent what you want it to be. Don't wait for somebody to tell you what you can do. Right? Invent it. Be creative. Now be humble that your idea is probably not brilliant out of the box. Right? I mean, folks hate it when I do an Ironman because it takes me forever to do one. If they had the 18-inch neck category, I'd be a champion. It takes me a long time, and I can't use headphones, so I have to think to myself for a long time, and it just crushes me. And I get done with them, and the office thinks it because I have like 10 trillion ideas. The first time I did one, I just threw it out there. Maybe one out of the 400 ideas I had was worth anything. right? So be humble enough to one, not all your ideas are the great ones. And most of your ideas are really powerful when you put them together with somebody else's ideas. Especially if it's somebody you don't work with or doesn't look like you or come from the same MOS or come from anything else, right? That's why this stuff is important. Why am I here tonight? Because I've already learned more tonight than I could anywhere else, because we've got a great diverse crowd, all trying to solve a problem from lots of different directions, right? And then be bold, right? The three things I would tell anybody in the junior force, what makes a great leader, right? They have three things. They're curious, they take initiative, and they're persistent. So everybody being here is curious for whatever reason you came here, whether it's to get new work or meet new people, or hear some dumb guy up here talking about the Navy, right? Right? But take the initiative to try something. Call it a pilot, try it quickly, don't put a whole lot of huge amount of resources in there, learn from it, and then have the persistence, right, to see it through to its end. That's what we all need to do here, because there's not one single solution, right? I've got 248,000 problems, right, that we put out last year. I've got hundreds of thousands of problems I don't even know I have, and heaven help us if I go to war, that will only increase, right? So the more you can kind of bring down the barriers and figure out how we can work this together, and respect where everybody's coming from. Not all contractors are dirty thieves looking for money, right? Most of them are just trying to do the same thing we're trying to do, be relevant, right? Not all government are slow, dumb, bureaucratic people, right? They're just living with a whole bunch of set of rules. Not everybody in Congress hates DOD, not everybody in DOD hates. I mean, so we've got to get away from all these kind of generality pieces, right? And figure out how to communicate, how to create reasonable trust, right? And then how to get after it with an end game of being relevant to the son or daughter or husband or wife or kid that we're sending out on the battlefield. I think we can all, I mean, the good news is we have got a great mission. Right? There is not a better mission in the world than the mission we're going. And so the challenge for us is how to get over ourselves a little bit. Everybody get together and go try and get after it. Respecting that, yes, the company needs to make some money. Yes, the government's got some rules it's got to deal with. Yes, academia cares about writing papers, because that's how they're incentivized. And that's all good. So rather than fight that, my ask for you guys is get after it and leverage it. Right? And I would say for all of us, acquisition in particular has got a little bit of a victim mentality. Right? We don't have enough money, we have whatever the thing is. Get rid of that. Right? There's not a problem again with this room that I don't think we can go solve. Right? If we all lean in. So what I'm trying to create in the Department of Navy is a culture on my side that rewards that propagates that, right? And that creates a sustainable piece. It's not a magic widget or a magic tool or a magic contracting mechanism, right? And I just ask you guys, bring your ideas that they understand that they will probably not be taken at, face value without surrender. That's good. That'll make your idea better. Right? Most ideas are kind of like an ugly rock on a beach, and they got to get shaped by a bunch of friction. Right? That's how you end up polishing something that's really, really remarkable. So, one, I thank you for everything you're doing wherever you are on the force, whether you're an industry partner or an academia on the Hill in the force, because we have created the best thing you can bring forward in the world. We got tons of upside potential if we're bold enough, right, and humble enough to go after it. So let's get after it. Thanks for your time.
The Defense Entrepreneurs Forum, our goal is to inspire, connect, and empower people who are passionate about national security. And from Mr. Geurts' comments, you can see that he is, and we are as well. Just some logistics for the rest of the night. We have this space until 9 o'clock. There are more food and drinks in the back. Please mix, mingle, and meet people who are new. If you're interested in DEF and have never heard of us before, you can talk to any of us that have DEF in our name tags. We have memberships for corporate and individuals, and we also host one of these once a month in the DC area, whether it's DC or Virginia.
So thank you, and Mr. Geurts, you are welcome back at any time. Thank you.
So what's happening is the CIO is actually